fellow toadies, and welcome to this edition of Quilting with the Toads, a pretend quilting show. I am your host, Helen, and today we have a very special guest, fellow head toad here at the Hollow, Mary Beth, who made this absolutely stunning quilt, and she's going to talk to us about it.
Where's the talent? We need the talent! Hi, everyone.
This is Mary Beth,
That's me.
fellow head toad.
Yes.
So, first off, tell us about yourself.
Well, I was born in Paterson, New Jersey a very, very, very long time ago.
You were born in Passaic, New Jersey.
I was born in Passaic, New Jersey a very, very, very long time ago. I have a crap mind. Okay, anyway.
So, how long have you been quilting?
So we decided we wanted to make my brother a quilt, and back before that we decided we wanted to make my sister number 3, a quilt for her wedding. That never happened. That was back in 2011.
But you sewed two like half square triangles together.
Right, and decided I hated it. So that was that. And then we decided we wanted to make my brother a quilt out of flannel pieces. And 2 years after that, I actually started it and got it ready for him for his Christmas present. And then I found a picture. I figured out how to print onto fabric. I printed a picture from the Secret Garden, and I made my mom a quilt, and I loved it so very much. So then I kind of got hooked with that.
And where did you learn how to quilt?
Where did I learn how to quilt? Nope, I learned from YouTube. I watched lots and lots of videos of Jenny from Missouri Star Quilt Company. Pretty much Jenny from Murray from Missouri Star Quilt Company. She made it look so easy that you think, oh, I can do that. So that it was, and then we just said, all right, we can do that. And we started. So I made a quilt top that I still have that's completely ready to go. It just needs to be quilted. I made that from Jenny's tutorials. I watched her video and figured, okay, if I need to do this to make one tulip, what do I need to do to offset it and just keep going until I have enough to cover a quilt?
Okay.
Yeah.
And what inspired this beautiful?
We knew we were doing Alice, and so we've been finding things online on Pinterest mostly for Alice, and I saw this picture. I want my room to look like this. I fell in love with the whole idea of it. So I already have the wrought iron bed, not in exactly that style, but I figured, you know what? I'm going to make a quilt. Whoever made that one has a great big piece for the center section, and I can't print that big. I could have tried to print it over 4 different pictures and piece them together. However, what?
Of course.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You're jumping ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Hey. So,
I'm like Robin Williams on. I'm inside the actor's studio. Go ahead, sorry.
So, what was your design process?
Okay, so they have a great big picture in the middle, and I knew I couldn't do that. I could have tried to print it over 4 different rectangles and piece them together, but I knew I wasn't going to piece them together seamlessly. So it would there'd be like a thin strip of white border showing, or I would get it off so that the rabbit's nose went like this type of thing. So I figured I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to do 4 separate ones. So what I did was I drew out, and you'll see that all along the main picture, there are just little pieces of flowered fabric. So I figured I'm going to work with squares of flowered fabric. We have 10 by 10 layer cakes that during 2020 and the buying spree of everything in sight, we bought a bunch of layer cakes, and I went through and found anything I could with flowers. I didn't take anything that had a black or a very, very dark blue background. This is as dark as I went, and it's kind of a gray blue. I wanted to stay light and airy. So I knew I was working with 5-inch squares So I made myself a grid, working with 5-inch squares. So I made myself a grid. And basically when I first started, this was all 5-inch squares. And then since I had 10 by 10 squares of fabric, I knew I was going to cut them into one half is going to be 10 by 5, and then the other half is going to be two 5 by 5-inch squares. So we have the 10 by 5-inch rectangle, and then the others were cut into two 5 by 5-inch squares to make it. And then what I did was I just went through and erased lines saying, okay, this one's going to be a 10-inch square, this is going to be a 5-inch square, that kind of thing. And then I looked at the overall thing and thought, okay, I want a picture up here, a picture here, and then kind of worked it in.
So you can see your pictures are here. You have a picture here.
I have a picture down here, which you can't really see. And then there's one all the way at the bottom that Helen will pan the whole thing and you'll see. Dog hair.
Somebody needs to be fired.
Yeah, dog hair all over. Okay.
So how many layer cakes did you use?
I picked and chose from 4 different layer cakes. 4 layer cakes that I used were Botanica by Michelle Design Works, Briarwood by Michelle Design Works, Tranquility by Riley Blake, and Renaissance by Michael Miller. And as I said, I went through and picked out all the ones that I thought would work.
So do you know how many 10-inch squares
Pretty
you used
sure I
altogether?
used 42
Okay.
10-inch squares altogether.
And do you have pieces left?
I do have a pile of 10-inch and 5-inch pieces left, and I'm going to make a pillow just like in the picture.
Okay.
But what I did was I knew, because by mapping it out, I used 48 10-inch squares. I needed 108 5-inch. Oh no, I needed 48 10 by 5s and 108 5 by 5s to fill the whole thing. And then when I started adding in the pictures, that took out some of them so that I brought that down. So I made sure, I think I cut 48 10 by 10s so that I had 48 of the 10-inch 10 by 5s, and then I would have...
And how many duplicate fabrics are there?
None.
Okay.
I have this gray with the blue flowers. I have it in the 2 5 by 5-inch squares as well. So you will have it 3 times over the quilt.
And that's it.
But I didn't cut more than one of each color.
Okay.
I tried very hard, and I also tried very hard to leave some of each of the different designs in the layer cakes so that if somebody else wanted to use it, it would be there. I didn't want to take all the briarwood with the red animals or the green animals, or I adore this green with the butterflies. I didn't want to take all of those because I knew somebody else, or maybe me, would want to use it. So that's, I tried to just take one of each picture of each fabric.
So how long did the whole process take?
It took me probably 2 hours to plan it out.
Your grid?
The grid, and figuring out this is going to be a 10 by 5 because I didn't want it to be... I knew that I wanted 5-inch squares going across the top, but actually I wanted the perimeter to be 5 by 5-inch squares.
So that leads to the question of how big is it?
We figure it's about 54.5 inches wide by 76.5 inches tall.
Yep.
About that. Maybe a little bit bigger because I haven't done the 1/4 inch on the sides yet.
Okay, so it took you about 2 hours to draw up your sketch.
Right, and plan in where everything was going.
Then you had to cut everything.
Then I cut everything. That took a while. And then we attached the tablecloth to the wall.
Oh, so let's talk about your design wall.
Okay.
This is high-tech stuff, people.
Right. So this is a tablecloth with the fuzzy side turned outward. And as you can see, this is just the friction from the flannelly side of the tablecloth is holding this up. I don't have any pins or any thumbtacks or
quilt
anything.
is just pressed up against it, and it's being held up.
And it's being held up.
Okay. Was it easy to piece together?
Oh, well, actually, the thing that took the longest time was laying it out. Right. Because what I did was I had everything cut, and then I separated them into piles. So I had my green pile, I had a yellow pile, I had a red pile, I had a mostly white background pile, and then I had blue. I have mostly greens and blues, just that's the way the tiles were. So laying it out, I tried to be very, very careful that I knew it was going to be in columns. It's laid out more in columns. So I tried to make sure that there were no duplicates of any pattern in a column. I tried to make sure there were no duplicates next to each other or catty corner if I could possibly help it. And I tried to make sure that I didn't duplicate colors like right on top of each other. I tried to separate them out a little bit. But laying it out is what took the longest amount of time. Just figuring it out. And then what I did...
So you laid it out on here.
Right.
You just put square by square by square.
Yes. I started with the square
you didn't
over
like
there.
this square here, so you peeled it off and put another square on.
Exactly. And then what I did was when I had it all laid out and I liked the way it looked, I had the pictures printed out on paper. So I just rolled up a piece of tape and taped them where I wanted them. When I had it figured out, then I took all the squares in column A, put them in exactly the order that they were hanging, and clipped them with a quilt clip with the paper that said A, and did that for B through L, going all the way across, so that I had them all lined up, and then I was ready to start putting it together. So that was one weekend.
So when you put your columns together, you knew that columns C through E were going to have pictures inserted.
Yep.
Okay.
I also took pictures as I was going along, so I had pictures that I could refer back to in case I thought something got screwed up.
Okay. So the sewing, easy?
Yes, relatively easy. I started with column A. And I just sewed one to another, going all the way straight down. Then I did column B.
When you ironed, how did you iron? Seams open or pressed to a side?
Pressed to a side. I pressed to a side, and I tried to make sure if A was pressing up, B was pressing down, so they would nest them together. And then when I was done sewing together column A and column B, I sewed A and B together so that I now had a piece that was 2 columns wide.
Okay.
So then I came over to C, D, and E, and I knew that there was a picture in the middle of it. So I sewed these 3 together, and then I started sewing these together. When I tried, I used a jelly roll that we had in Sash to outline each of the pictures. I did not think it through.
So a 2.5 inch strip to outline the pictures.
I needed more than 2.5 inches on the sides. 2.5 inches on the top and the bottom were perfect. 2.5 inches on the side was a little bit short, which is why you have a second border on the sides of each of my pictures, so that I had to spread it out.
Which you can only see if you really stare at it.
Yes. So. Yeah, no, it's just a little bit of extra border on either side of the pictures. But so when I put these 3 together and then I lined it up on top of the picture to sew it together, I realized, I got to add a little bit more to either side, so I did that. And then I sewed this to the picture. Then I sewed this batch together and sewed them to the bottom of the picture, and then sew on down.
Okay.
That took me 2 days to sew, I think. It was not full days. Yeah. It was sporadic, but a full weekend to put them together. Took me a weekend to lay it out, to cut it and lay it out, and then a weekend to put it together.
So now what are your plans for quilting it and binding it?
Okay, I am going to probably send it out to be quilted. I am going to, from our Stitch in Time collection, I was originally thinking of backing it in the blue and binding it in the green. I think we have We have Lori Holt. I'm pretty sure we have Lori Holt 108-inch backing material that we got in our stash that I could use and I wouldn't have to sew it together.
Okay.
If I do either of these, I need to sew 2 pieces together because it's more wider than the 44 inches. So I'm going to have to sew 2 pieces all the way down, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. But
So you're planning on doing one color
yes,
for your binding?
I'm going to do one color for the binding, and I am going to do one fabric for the backing.
Okay.
Because this has got so much going in around it that I want actually one color. This is going to be a good one, or that would be a good one, because it will draw your eye to the inside and it won't distract your eye at all. And it will rim it well so that it will look contained. Right now it just looks like it's about to fly out all over the place. This, by giving it the border, I think will contain it.
Okay.
In your eye, your mind eye.
Okay.
I think.
So, lastly, what's next?
I don't know. In my master journal for the year for Alice, I have quilt plans. And you can see I have quilt plans that come down here, then go across to here. I have lots of quilts I want to make. So the big thing was do the Alice quilt. That was the biggest thing. I have my autumn quilt that I want to finish, and then I've just got I have jelly roll quilts I want to make. There are building blocks quilts I want to make. There are a ton of quilts I want to make. I love quilts. I adore Lori Holt's quilts so much. We have Vintage Farm Girl 1, 2, Christmas, Baking with Lori Holt, whatever. I'm pretty sure we have it. I want to make them all. She's got one that are snowflakes that are 2 colors. It's either red and white, yellow and white, but you're using different fabrics that are all red or yellow. They're stunning. I adore them. I want them all.
Okay.
Lots. Lots and lots.
So thank you for joining us on Quilting with the Toads.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad to have been here.
Join us next time.
When we talk to...
Who knows?
Who knows?
It's a pretend quilting show.
Thank you guys so much.
Go forth and quilt, everybody.
We will see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.